Emmet uncovered a spiritual truth that has forever altered the destinies of millions. Through his profound study of the teachings of Jesus and his deep understanding of the hidden laws of mind, this great spiritual teacher realized a staggering fact: a divine power resides within every single human being. This is not a poetic metaphor, but a literal, usable power, a force entirely capable of transmuting poverty into sweeping abundance, paralyzing fear into unshakable faith, and persistent limitation into boundless prosperity. But this power is not awakened by idle wishing, passive hope, or begging a distant deity in the sky. Fox taught that there is a precise science to awakening this power, and it begins with understanding that the morning is the most sacred hour of the day. Why the morning? When you first awaken, you are standing on the threshold between the unseen world of sleep and the physical world of daily life. In those first few moments, your conscious mind has not yet erected its habitual defenses of logic, cynicism, and limitation. Your subconscious mind is wide open, highly receptive, and waiting for its daily orders. What you declare in those first conscious moments determines the mental equivalent you establish for the next 24 hours. It dictates the exact frequency of energy, the type of people, and the nature of the experiences you will inevitably draw to yourself all day long. This is not superstition or wishful thinking. It is exact, infallible spiritual law. A morning scientific prayer programs your consciousness to recognize and receive the divine blessings that already exist for you in the invisible realm, forcing them to outpicture in your visible world. Look at the vast majority of humanity. The average person wakes up to the jarring sound of an alarm and immediately begins to worry. Before their feet even touch the floor, they mentally review their mounting debts, their interpersonal problems, their physical aches, and all the things they lack. Morning scientific prayer operates on a completely different, infinitely higher frequency. It is not begging or pleading. It is not trying to twist the arm of God to give you a favor. Scientific prayer is the clear recognition and bold declaration of absolute truth that God, the divine mind, is the infinite, inexhaustible source of all good, and that this source is perpetually flowing toward you by divine right. Fox often noted that God has no favorites. The universe does not single out certain people to be rich and others to be poor. Divine abundance is universally available, but much like electricity or gravity. But only those who align their consciousness with this truth can demonstrate it in the material world. When you declare prosperity each morning, you are not creating something out of nothing. You are simply removing the mental blocks, the inherited fears, and the false beliefs that have prevented your natural good from reaching you. It is like opening the heavy blinds in a pitch-black room. The sunlight was always out there. Pressing against the glass, it simply could not enter until you made the way clear. Your morning declaration throws open the windows of your soul so that divine prosperity may flood every avenue of your daily experience. To understand the practical application of this law, consider the demonstration of Maria Rodriguez. Maria lived in Guadalajara, working brutal 12-hour shifts in a retail shop for a meager, insulting wage. Every morning, she woke with a tight knot of anxiety in her chest, consumed by the terrifying mathematics of how she would pay her rent and feed her family. Upon discovering the metaphysical teachings of Emmet Fox, Maria decided she had nothing to lose. She committed to testing the method of morning scientific prayer. She made a strict rule for 30 days, before looking at her phone, before reading the news, and before speaking to a single soul. She would dedicate 10 uninterrupted minutes to declaring her spiritual prosperity. At first, she saw absolutely no external changes. The bank account remained empty, the job remained exhausting. But a vital, undeniable shift occurred within her consciousness. Her chronic anxiety began to dissolve, replaced by a strange, quiet peace. She began to perceive subtle opportunities where she previously only saw solid brick walls. By the 3rd week, the internal shift began to outpicture in the physical world. A regular customer at her shop casually mentioned a vacancy at his corporate office, a position offering exactly double her current salary. Operating on her new frequency of expectation, Maria applied and was hired immediately. But that was merely the beginning of the avalanche of good. Within 6 months, her newly expanded consciousness attracted 2 major promotions, ultimately multiplying her original income 5-fold. Years later, Maria maintains that this was neither luck nor coincidence nor economic fluctuation. It was the precise scientific application of the spiritual principles Fox taught. Her morning declaration changed her consciousness. and spiritual law dictates that when your inner consciousness changes, your outer world has no choice but to conform to it. It is as reliable as the law of mathematics. Your external reality is merely a mirror reflecting your internal state of mind. Change your consciousness in the morning, and you literally change your entire life. When you decree prosperity each morning, you are calling forth the total wholeness that divine mind designed for you from the beginning. You are not being greedy by asking for it all. You are simply being faithful to your divine nature. God is not fragmented, and therefore your good should not be fragmented. A true scientific prayer must include 3 vital elements to be effective: recognition, gratitude, and affirmation. First, you must recognize that God is the singular, infinite source of everything, bypassing the illusion that your employer, your clients, or the economy is your source. Second, you must give thanks for the blessings you already hold, and crucially, give thanks for the unseen good that is currently rushing into manifestation. Gratitude is the emotional signature that convinces the subconscious the good is already yours. Third, you must affirm with absolute conviction that divine prosperity flows to you without strain, without struggle, and without limit. They speak grand words of abundance, yet their hearts tremble with the deeply ingrained fear of scarcity. The subconscious mind is incredibly literal and responds primarily to feeling. If you say, "I am abundantly supplied," but your stomach is tied in knots of financial terror, the subconscious mind accepts the terror as your true command, completely ignoring the words. Fox likened this to pressing the accelerator and the brake of an automobile simultaneously. You burn a tremendous amount of energy. There is a great deal of noise and smoke, but your vehicle goes absolutely nowhere. Neither does your prosperity. Scientific prayer demands complete, uncompromising alignment between what you say, what you think, and what you feel during those sacred morning minutes. You cannot serve 2 masters. You cannot treat for wealth while inwardly worshiping the idol of poverty. Therefore, the practice must begin with physical relaxation and mental stillness. Sit quietly in a comfortable chair. Breathe consciously, and deliberately release all physical tension from your muscles. Then, you must still your mind. Refuse, with absolute authority, to allow thoughts of worldly troubles, bills, or interpersonal conflicts to trespass upon this holy space. This is your appointment with the divine mind, the most vital, destiny-altering conversation of your day. Give it the reverence and undivided attention it demands. When your body is perfectly at ease and your mind is serene, your spoken words carry a multiplied dynamic power. You are no longer mechanically reciting hollow affirmations into the void. You are speaking from the secret place of the Most High. You are giving direct form to the unformed creative forces of the universe, and by spiritual law, those forces must obey. To see the power of this focused, unmixed thought in action, look at the demonstration of Roberto Martinez. Roberto was an architect in Mexico City who ran his own firm. During a severe, unforeseen economic downturn, his firm lost nearly all its major clients, and he was quickly buried under crushing, paralyzing debt. He was quite literally days away from filing for bankruptcy and closing his doors forever when a colleague handed him the teachings of Emmet Fox. Desperate, yet willing to test the law, Roberto committed to 90 days of uninterrupted morning scientific prayer. He realized he had been trying to force a solution on the physical plane, which is always exhausting and rarely effective. He decided to shift his labor to the spiritual plane. Every single morning at exactly 600 a.m., long before his household stirred and the anxieties of the day could begin, he sat in his study. He relaxed his body, stilled his mind, and decreed with absolute, unwavering conviction that his prosperity was an unstoppable, divine force. He did not beg God for clients. Instead, he affirmed that the perfect clients were already being divinely guided to his door by spiritual law. He declared that his creative vision was a limitless channel for divine mind, and that his architectural projects blessed everyone involved. Crucially, he felt the truth of his words vibrating in the room. He cultivated the exact feeling of relief and triumph he would have if his firm were already fully booked. In 30 days, he secured his first new major client in 8 months. In 60 days, he was successfully managing 3 simultaneous, highly profitable projects. By the 90th day of his practice, his firm was operating at absolute full capacity, requiring him to hire 2 associate architects just to handle the overflow of business. 5 years later, his firm stands as one of the most prestigious and successful in the city. Roberto still keeps his morning watch religiously. He knows a profound truth: He does not personally manufacture the prosperity. It is his consciousness, strictly aligned with the divine, that allows the natural flow of prosperity to manifest in his affairs. The blockage preventing your good is not in heaven. It is entirely within your own mind. Your subconscious has been meticulously programmed by years of limiting beliefs, inherited fears, and the collective, hypnotic illusion of worldly scarcity. Your morning declaration is a systematic, deliberate reprogramming of that subconscious mind. Each time you affirm your prosperity with feeling, you dissolve a fraction of that negative, inherited programming. You are installing the absolute truth into the subconscious. And remember, the subconscious dictates 90% of your daily actions, reactions, and the magnetic frequency you emit. Frequently compared this to planting a garden. You do not sow a seed in the earth today, and then furiously dig it up tomorrow to demand a mature oak tree. You plant it, you water it, and you trust the invisible forces of nature to do their work in the dark earth. Your morning declaration is the planting of the spiritual seed. You water it with unwavering faith, and you trust that spiritual law is working invisibly, behind the scenes, to manifest visible, tangible abundance.